Panelists. I have a couple of questions. When you look at freeing up credit to help small businesses, have you looked at credit unions, for instance? They're subject to a cap on the amount of loans that they can give to businesses to 12.25%, yet they do have the resources to give loans out to credit unions. Have you looked at that area to free up credit for businesses? And if not, why not?
I think that's a question for the regulator, actually. We are working, though, with the 2,500 S Corp out there, as well as the 625 mutual.
Do you think it's a good idea? I mean, if you're trying to get credit to businesses.
I think it's a good idea to give credit to businesses. I can't opine on what the correct ratios should be.
So, if you think it's a good idea, if they're limited by regulations or statutes on a cap, and by increasing the cap, whatever the number is, whether it's 15, 20, why wouldn't that be a good idea?
As I said, I think it's a good idea to lend to business. I don't know how all of that works, but I can look at that and get back to you.
Okay.
And so, again, there's a complex set of different regulations that interact with sort of safety and soundness issues and also credit provision issues. And so, to discuss the specifics of it, I would need to get back to you on that. But I very much agree that lending to creditworthy borrowers is exactly what the federal regulatory agencies want the banks to do and are encouraging them to do.
My second question, when you mentioned credit cards, and I've heard from constituents that when you look at the interest rates on some credit cards, as high as, 35%. Do you think that you ought to look at what they're actually charging for interest rates on credit cards? It's important to have credit, but here again, you don't want the gouging of what's currently appears to be happening. I'd like both of you to comment on the high interest rates that some credit card companies are gouging their customers.
Well, I think as you know, we at the Federal Reserve have put out a significant set of regulations, or proposed regulations, I should say, using their Unfair and Deceptive Acts and Practices Authority, as well as changes in disclosure regulation to try to address a variety of issues in the credit card market. And we continue to gather data and monitor that market very carefully. And we hope to be proposing those new rules, or finalizing those rules before the end of the year.
Does the Treasury have any comment on that?
Well, I think regarding credit cards and higher rates, what we're seeing here, I mention again, we are still in the midst of a crisis. We are still seeing pressures on rates in certain sectors and a freezing of credit in certain markets. And what Secretary Paulson mentioned last week regarding the securitization markets and the roughly $1 trillion of mortgage-related assets out there that are affected, amongst them are credit cards. As credit card securitization is frozen up, rates do rise. It's the same for student loans, auto loans, SBA loans. If we can help impact that market, unfreeze some of that credit through some of our actions, it will benefit, and it will benefit in terms of credit card rates.
And you had mentioned that a lot, when you look at the market, has to do with confidence. And we heard earlier about the confidence of both the Treasury Secretary coming out with his remarks. I mean, that does not instill confidence in the market, or, quite frankly, confidence that I have in the Secretary Treasurer. It's just the reverse. Same way with Bernanke. You do not go on public television and say, if you don't pass something by X date, then we're going to have a meltdown in the market. That's just inexcusable, and does not instill confidence. It actually, to me, it's incompetence of both of those individuals. Has the Security Exchange, what are you doing to encourage the Security and Exchange Commission to look at the marketing rules? What's happening in that particular area?
With regards to the SEC, I won't speak for them, but I know they're exploring the issue and how it's going to work. With regards to confidence, I come back to, again, a point. about what was occurring in September and October where no corporate debt was issued.
No, I don't need you to defend the secretary. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I know a lot of members of Congress about his actions. On the marketing, the Federal Reserve, what are you doing to encourage them to move forward in that particular area, if you think they should?
Well, certainly there are studies that are going on. I think one that was required through some legislation to be looking at that, and so we provide whatever technical support is necessary to be able to get the right answer.
I see my time's expired. I just encourage you to do more, because the confidence is not there, and it's still not there. Until we have confidence in those who are running these programs, the market's you're going to see it continue doing what it's doing.
Mr. Cuellar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank both of y'all for being here with us. I would like to focus on the smaller banks, community banks, the independent banks. I have a lot of those in my congressional district, and I think you got some stats on everybody here. So if you can start looking at District 28, if you have those numbers. But I'm interested on the small independent community banks, because they, on a day-to-day basis, they do interact with the small businesses. So they do have that direct impact with the small businesses. But as you all have expanded, I guess you call it the captive purchase program, to the smaller banks. We've been in contact with your office, with the Department of Treasury, and we understand there's about 46 small banks are all in the same situation, where there's a timetable involved with the shareholders' time. Shareholders means that they need to have. And, you know, what my bankers are complaining about, and one particular in my district is saying, look, you know, supposedly there's a crisis, and the Secretary has said this, and they want us to move quickly. We put in our application, but all of a sudden everything stops, and they haven't been able to do this. We've called, and I say your department, and they keep saying we can't give you a timetable, and then we have to face our constituents, our bank presidents, and tell them, I can't get you an answer. Well, what do you mean you can't get us an answer? Well, I can't get you an answer. The department won't get us an answer. What status do you have on those small community banks that want to participate, that want to lend to small businesses? How fast can we move those that particular program to the smaller banks?
As I said, this is very important to us here at Treasury. Having been involved in this, I see the flow of applications. And one of the important things to note is, from October 14th to November 14th, we opened this to public banks, and we received a number of applications, many which we have already gone through and vetted. They've gone through the regulators, the primary regulators, then they're sent to us. We vet them, and we provide capital if necessary. Regarding the smaller banks, the privately held banks, again, there are roughly 3,400, a number in your district as well. That application process went up on Monday, just 3 days ago. It's open for another month. It's not on a first-come, first-served basis. Anyone can apply, and we have adequate capital to provide to them. We have gone through, and we expect thousands of applications over the next couple of weeks, which we will be working on night and day. And when I say that seriously. We will be working on them. We're going through them as fast as we can. So are the regulatory agencies, who are stretched right now to the limits. Civil workers are working night and day as well to make sure that these are processed, sent to us. We are working night and day with our staffs to make sure they're processed and out.
Would the gentleman yield for a second?
Yes.
Can you tell me how long it takes once an application goes in, small community banks or independent banks? How long it takes the whole process?
I can't cite a specific example, but the process works in a very simple manner. A community bank goes to their local federally regulated, regulator, which is one of the four items, the OTS, the FDIC, the Federal Reserve, or the OCC. They review the application and decide whether they should move this forward to our committee or whether they should deny it. It's all done confidentially, so there's no stigma attached, which is what we want. We view those, process them, goes through our staff, and then it's either approved or disapproved.
But
we have, I guess to give you an idea, 107 applications went out roughly in 31 days. We're moving as fast as we can in this